Welcome to this section on basic statistics. Now, in this section, I'm going to talk about what this statistics is and why it is important to learn statistics before you go for any data science course. So, what we're going to do is we're going to start the things from the scratch and learn everything about the statistics which is required for data science. So first thing first, what is statistics and statistics, why it is helpful to learn statistics. Now, if you look for statistics, it's called grammar of statistics, and you can tell almost everything about data with the help of statistics. So it's very crucial for understand this concept. Without that, you will not be able to move very far in data science domain. So why to learn statistics? Because data is everywhere, and or you can say data are everywhere. It's one word act as a singular and plural both. Statistical techniques are used to make any decision that affect our lives. It could be an insurance, it could be the medical diagnosis, it could be the speed of the cars, or no matter like what you think about, everything is related to data nowadays. So no matter wherever you are in the career, you will have at least in like sometimes you might have encountered in your whole professional lifetime about the data, and anything which you're working on right now might be directly or indirectly connected with the data. So the data involvement of the data is pretty crucial, and if you understand the statistical method, they will help you make the decision in very effective manner, very effective manner. So it's always crucial to learn statistics, and it will help you do multiple things with the data. So, what are the applications in the statistical world, right? So, in finance, majority of the time you will be using correlation, regression. You talk about the index numbers, time series analysis, classification. In marketing, we use a lot of hypothesis testing, chi-square test, non-parametric test, statistics, and various other classification techniques. In personal and operational management, also a lot of statistical concepts are being utilized, which involves hypothesis testing, estimation, analysis of variance, and time series analysis. So there are a lot many things which you can use in terms of a statistical concept in the business world. Now, what exactly statistics is? Now, if you just go by the definition of statistics, it will tell you that the science of collecting, organizing, presenting, analyzing, and interpreting data to assist in making more effective decision is called statistics. Or what is statistical analysis, which is a little bit different. This statistics is being used to perform analytics, which means that if you're doing analytics somehow or other, you have to use statistics, and we call it as statistical analysis. Now, this statistical analysis is used to manipulate, summarize, and investigate data so that the useful decision making information results, which means that I'll be picking up the data and I'll be taking out the inferences from the data, something which is hidden within the data, and I'll be talking about the data. Once I'll get those inferences, I'll start talking about the data. I'll talk about what my data is saying, as a whole, or what my data is actually indicating, right? So we want to take out inferences or some information which will help us do the decision making, specifically in business. Now, this is some funny quote. It's in a bunch of numbers looking for the fight, just for the fun. But if you just look for the crisp and short application of statistics, you will find it's a science of collection, presentation, analysis, and reasonable interpretation of the data. And then every word over here is actually very important. So if you want to collect the data, so when I say science of collection of the data, wherein you put in the data in such a manner that it will result some kind of information, you present your data in such a way that it can result in some kind of inferences. You want to take out some meaningful pattern, you want to analyze that data, and then you want to interpret that data, which will help you make lots and lots of money and gives you a lot of business inferences. So a lot of information is going around, around us, and then we want to use statistics in order to visualize or in order to add those factors. Now, if you just look for the taxonomy of statistics, you will find there are two methods. One is called descriptive method, and then the second one is called inferential methods. While these two methods utilizes or they come under the umbrella of statistical method, they are functionally different. For example, if you talk about inferential methods, in inferential methods you basically want to pick up like variables, you want to apply some values to it, you want to group them, you want to apply some test to it, and after like testing you want to take out some inferences. However, descriptive methods are much more, they go like lot further, and then it actually takes you from exploratory data analysis to to prediction and to prescription kind of analytics as well. So when you talk about descriptive methods, then again there are three parts. Like one is called univariate analysis, second is called bivariate analysis, and third is called multivariate analysis. Now univariate analysis is something which can actually when you have only one column of data, what kind of analysis you can perform it on it. The bivariate analysis talks about when you have two or more than two columns of data, how would you apply some kind of analysis to it. And when you talk about multivariate analysis, it talks about when there are multiple number of columns in the data, how would you talk about it, what kind of methods you can apply to it. So descriptive methods are foundation for the machine learning as well, wherein multivariate analysis helps us identify a lot of things in machine learning. Now, if you just look for descriptive statistics, it is going to be some subset of statistics definition which says it's a method of organizing, summarizing, and presenting data in an informative way. However, inferential statistics talks about something in terms of population and sample. So some part of inferential statistics is also being used in machine learning. So that's why we have to understand the inferential statistics as well. Now, what is population and what is sample? That is something which we need to understand. The population is entire set of individuals or objects of interest, or the measurement obtained from all individuals or object of interest, which means that if I want to study a particular pattern, I would like to involve the complete data. I would like to study the whole data. For example, what is the market share of Mercedes in India? What is the market share of Ferrari in India? Or for example, I want to know how many cars Ford was able to sell in India, right? What is their whole thing, right? Or for that matter, like how many graduates like pass out every year from the different colleges in India, or how many people get jobs all over USA in last 6 months. So these are called population, where the entire set of individuals or my object of interest lies. However, if I pick up a subset of that population, which means rather than picking up the complete USA population and find out all the graduates who got the job in different companies, I want to pick up a subset. For example, I pick up some counties or some states or some portion of the country, and rather than studying the whole population, I would like to study few part of them, and then on the basis of that part, that subset of my study, I will try to predict about the population. For example, I can simply say how many people have got the email addresses in USA. So it's very difficult for me to find out how many people are exactly having email address, because people are creating email address. Sometimes you create 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth. However, what I can do is I can just pick up random 100 people from every place, every different like different counties or states, and then from there I would just wanted to know like how many email address they have, and on the basis of that I will be talking about the population. So sample small pieces are nothing but the sample. It's a portion or a part of the population of interest. So I'm not taking the complete population as a whole. However, I'm talking about the sample, which is nothing but the homogeneous portion of the population itself. I need to make sure that it is homogeneous. If it is not, then I would call my sample as a bias sample, because in that case, if I'll try to predict something from sample to population, it will actually give me the biased results or not correct results. So inferential statistics deal with population and samples, and I sometimes I have population and I want to predict about the samples, and sometimes I have samples and I want to talk about the population. So a sample needs to be the homogeneous subset of the population for sure. Now you must be very much confusing, right? You must be confusing a lot, like why, if I have population, I want to predict about the sample. So I'll be giving you some examples to understand this more. Once we'll come into the probability, things will be much more clearer once I'll go next to the probability measure. However, just to give you an idea, I have a population of all the cars, and I want to find out like how many diesel cars are there in India as compared to the petrol cars. And what we want to do is we want to pick up a homogeneous sample of the population, and then I want to predict, like for example, if I there are say 10 million cars in India, and I wanted to pick up a homogeneous sample out of it. So I'll just pick up say 50,000 cars. In the 50,000 cars, I wanted to take a comparison whether this is a petrol car or a diesel car, and on the basis of that I can predict about the sample. So say 33% of the cars out of 50,000 cars are diesel cars. So I can safely say that near about 33% car in India also will be having the diesel portion, or they are diesel cars basically. So somehow or other I can use this population and sample analysis to talk about my whole data. Now, this inferential statistics, which talks about estimation of population in terms of mean, in terms of variance. So, and then we use one method which is called as hypothesis testing, which we're going to study, as a full topic, full-grown topic. Not right now, but we want to have some assumptions, and on the basis of those assumptions, I would like to perform mathematical analysis for my data, so that I can predict about the population. So this is being done in inferential statistics. Now, what is inference, or what exactly I'm referring to as an inference? Inference is the process of drawing conclusion or making decision about a population based on the sample results. So if I want to talk about the population, I'll be picking up samples, I'll be applying inferential statistics, and then I'll be predicting something about my population. Now, I've repeatedly said that there is a word called right. I want homogeneous samples. I want to pick up. I want to make sure that the samples are homogeneous and all. Sampling is one of the most important thing, right? When you pick up the sampling from the population, it's pretty much important for you to understand that what kind of sampling can be done. Now, what is a sample? A sample should have similar kind of characteristic. So we need to understand that it's a subset of the population. And one thing is for sure, that it should have, now when I say subset, when I say homogeneous, it should contain the similar kind of properties what population is having, so that I can reduce my time to to study the data, right? And I can predict more with much more accuracy. The more homogeneous sample is, more accurate my predictions about the populations are. Now, the sampling can be of two types. One is with replacement, and the second one is without replacement. When I do sampling, each member of the population, it can be chosen more than once. For example, if I want to pick up, like say there are 1,000 candidate, and I want to pick up three people. So I've picked up three people, and I'm left with 997. I'll merge those three people back when I want to pick up another set of three people. So I'll merge those people back, and then I'm again left with 1,000 people, and I can choose three more people. So one person which is being selected in the previous sample will have another probability, or again the similar kind of probability of choosing more than once. Without replacement, once I have picked up three people, I'll be taking them apart, and I'm left with 997. So the next group of three people will have a different probability, and also they will have different aspects. So once the person has been chosen in the group, they cannot be chosen again, right? So very much like a lottery ticket or something, right? Wherein one person will be chosen once in a sample, not more than once, right? This is called sampling without replacement. Now, the sampling methods plays a very important role, and some piece of the sample methods also is being included in our machine learning algorithm. So sampling methods can be of two types. One is random samples, and the second one is non-random samples. And random, we know, right? Random is very much evident, right? Which, whereas the each member of the population has an equal chance of being selected, and then it is called random sampling. And often random sampling is turn out to be the best sampling when you choose some data. However, the non-random sample, which is nothing but the avoid certain kind of, like, my whole data is biased, even if I'm doing the random sampling, I'm not able to get the right result, then we use probably non-random sample. And then what this non-random sampling is, that I'll be choosing a specific numbers, right? I'll be choosing specific values from the specific places, right? So this is what is called non-random samples. The actual process of sampling also causes sampling errors. For example, that sample may not be large enough or representative of the exact populations. Factor not related to the sampling process cause non-sampling error also. For example, say I'm measuring, there are like 100 cars and I wanted to measure like every car, what is the average time of the cars when they are speeding from 0 to 100, how much time they take. And I'm measuring them, and imagine that device which I am having right now, which is measuring that how much is the speed, is actually faulty. So it is starting from so somewhere around 50 to 60, it actually miscalculate the number. So even if my device is faulty, then I'll get a non-sampling error. A defective counting device can also cause a non-sampling error, which is one of the example. And the most generic example I can give you is something called as weighing machine. So if you go to a weighing machine, if you might have remember, like 10-20 years back, there was there've been many weighing machines which were manual, and sometimes the number do not actually, the meter, it doesn't show zero exactly, right? It shows something, some other number. And then if you are like 70 kgs and then you're weighing like 75 kgs, so this that 5 kgs not because of the way you are measuring, it's because of the machine, which is called as non-sampling error. When we do sampling, there are different kind of methods in sampling. These are called random sampling methods. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about these random sampling methods in the upcoming video, and we'll understand what this each type of sampling is all about. So I'll see you in the next video. We'll talk more on the data.